Right, welcome back to the channel everyone. Today I'm actually stood between two amazing looking motorcycles. So I've got a brace of Fantic Caballero 500s here, and even better than that, I'm actually stood between two special editions of this bike. So we've got the Deluxe Scrambler Deluxe, and over here we've got the 50th anniversary. Both have some nice trick bits on them. So the 500, the standard 500, is a 40 horsepower single cylinder scrambler. Even in standard form, it's an amazing looking bike. It's designed and made in Italy. And some of the parts on it are just absolutely beautiful to behold. That's not even an exaggeration, it's 100% straight up. These bikes really are entry level, but they don't feel like entry level. They're £7,000 to get the base model, which is an amazing value for what you actually get on these bikes. But nothing on it feels budget or built to a price. It just feels and looks amazing. If you look at some of the components, like these really substantial Fantic branded upside down forks, you've also got a bit of carbon fibre and billet aluminium machined components. These are also upswept exhausts made by Arai for Fantic. All of these little components kind of come together to produce a beautiful looking bike. So you can use them for a little bit of off-roading, a little bit of commuting, a little bit of Sunday bimbling. They're just great bikes really, aren't they? Here we've got the Deluxe edition, which comes with different paint scheme here on the 12-litre tank, a few little trick things here with the grips, the handlebar brace, a big single seat there. Over here you've got the 50th anniversary edition, which comes with the Italian flag marking, little fly screen there, headlight guard, slight differences in the paint. Both of these bikes are around the £7,000 mark, which is amazing value. And then there's also a third variant really, which is the Rally Explorer of the 500cc lineup, and that one actually has some functional differences, not just aesthetics. So you've got increased travel on the suspension, well, I'll go inside and we'll have a little walk around the Rally Explorer just to show you, because that's a cracking bike as well. Right, I've just come inside to have a look at the Rally version of the Fantic Caballero, and I'll just show you some of the differences. So obviously we've got the same 500cc or 450cc single, but the Rally actually comes with something really nice, which is adjustable suspension, increased travel on the suspension as well, the higher front mudguard, just pan around, hopefully you can see, and it comes with a luggage system as well. So you have a single soft luggage on the side there, the rear rack, and this handy tank bag, which is probably a litre, perhaps a litre and a half. You have this here for your map or your phone, and you could store a little bit in there, which is quite nice. The advantage of the Rally is also that it's had a little bit of a remap as well, and you've got Michigan Anarchy Wilds on there, which are full knobbly tyres. So it's a little bit more off-road focused is the Rally, and the Rally actually priced at £7,649, which I actually think is worth it for the upgrades. Obviously it'll be a higher seat height, slightly more off-road focused, so bear that in mind, but just take a look at the Rally there in comparison to the standard bike and also the Deluxe. Alright guys, well I'm going to go and take one of these bikes out, probably this one I think is what I'm on today, and I'll let you know how I get on. Right, out we go on the Fantic Caballero 500. Oh, single cylinder. Up into third. One thing I've got to get used to is there's no gear indicator. So, hello guys. So, yeah, you've got to learn to fuel the bike a little bit. So as I'm coming up to this junction, just drop it down. That must be second. It sounds silly, doesn't it? There you go, that's first. Right, off we go. That's great fun. Right, so we're out on board the Fantic Caballero 500, and the first things to say about it is the engine's a very peppy little unit. 39 horsepower doesn't sound like a lot on paper, but what you get is a whole dollop of character. And now singles are coming back in. Obviously you've got the BSA Gold Star, which has sold a lot of bikes, but this is a single cylinder 450cc, so not quite the 500 they say. Now the single is made by a company called Zhongshan, which is based in China. You might be able to tell by the name. But don't let that put you off, because this is the company that also makes BMW's engines for the 750 and 850 GS, so good pedigree there. The rest of the bike is put together in Italy, so the engines get shipped to Italy. Everything else designed and built in Italy, so that's why I think this bike looks so good, because you've got all the style and everything of Italian flair and design. Okay, I'll let you rejoin me when we've overtaken the white Nissan Qashqai. Right guys, we're back out on the road, and I've overtaken that annoying car that was in front of me for ages, and I found the acceleration is perfectly fine for UK roads, which I say that on a lot of reviews. Obviously it's not going to rip your arms off, but this bike is more about kind of character than outright, you know, acceleration. You don't want to go out and die on a litre bike, but you want to have some character on a bike you can be proud of. Then something like this is going to be right up your street. Alright, well let's talk about the comfort. So seating position is perfectly fine for me. I mean, I've got like a little over 90-degree bend in the knees. Let's take this little road up to Martley, shall we? And the seat, contrary to some reviews, is actually quite comfortable. People said the seat's overly firm, but I don't find it that bad actually. Got a nice, oh look at this road up here. Got a nice stretch to the handlebars, which just seem within easy reach really. And you're nice and upright. You're not clamshelled with your back or anything like that. It's a nice riding position. Because you've got a big single seat, you can shuffle forwards if you want a little bit more of a bend in your arm, or if you're taller, you can slide back a bit. And that's one of the good things about having this seat here. Wind protection, obviously you haven't got any, so you want to wear earplugs if you're going for a long journey at higher speeds. But this bike's forte is probably blipping around the countryside, going a little bit green laning as well. So got no vibrations really. Obviously I'm not pushing it yet, I'm doing 55 miles an hour, but I can still see in the mirrors at this speed. A little bit faster, 60, yeah, it's still quite clear. Obviously if you were to ring this engine out to 80 miles an hour, which I'm not going to do here in national speed limit, you might get some vibration up through the mirrors and maybe through the seats and pegs, but I'm not getting any sensible speeds. I'm going to check the brakes next. Okay, so brakes are by Byberry, which is a sub-brand of Brembo, kind of like the entry-level Brembos. I quite like Byberry because I had them on my Royal Enfield. Basically I think you get the quality control and overall kind of, should we say, feel of Brembo as a company. You can trust them, obviously without the extreme high performance of some of the higher tier Brembo designs. So I'll just test the brakes out. Oh, yep, they work. So you've got a single 320 disc at the front, the Byberry caliper as I just mentioned, but you get a little bit of dive as you hammer the front brake, but loads of guys out today, isn't there? Loads of guys on tours. A little bit of dive as you hammer the front brake, but that's expected because you've got this off-road sort of style suspension up there. Talking of the suspension, well, both the units are made by Fantic themselves, the rear shock and the front fork, which I think probably helps keep costs down. But it's also, they're very well designed. They've got a lovely aesthetic to them, with the diameter of the fork tubes there, and obviously you've got this billet aluminium yokes, which just looks absolutely lovely. That's one of the highlights. The front of the bike is absolutely exceptional to look at. Talking of suspension performance though, it feels really compliant on the road, and to be honest, for what everyone's going to use this bike for, it's perfect, isn't it? It's just a really flickable light bike. I'm just going to drop the clutch here so we can go past. Thank you. It's kind. You do have to drop down through the gears. If you find yourself in too high a gear, it will labour a little bit when you go down below 30 miles an hour. But that's part of the fun of riding it, isn't it? So yeah, this suspension is really soft and nice on the roads. I mean, if you started to push on this bike, obviously you've got Pirelli Scorpion STRs, which are sort of an 80/20 on-road, off-road tyre, and the suspension is obviously set up to allow this bike to go off-road. So if you start pushing on the road, I'm sure you'd reach the limit of the suspension, but for just the riding that everyone's going to do on this bike, it's just absolutely perfect, isn't it? It's comfortable, really comfortable. So now we've reached Martley. Drop down through the gears. Oh, I got a little bit of popping on overrun. That's lovely. Listen to that. I don't know if you guys can hear that on the camera, but it sounds wonderful. Now I'm going to do my normal fueling test. So there's no one behind me. This is a really quiet area, really. It's a quiet time of day. So we'll just drop down. We're in first. Just indicates so anyone who comes up behind me knows what I'm doing. So let me go right down to almost 0 miles an hour. I'll just show my slow speed control. If I slip and fall off, then it's my own fault. Now watch this, guys, right? Down to 3 miles an hour. Beautifully smooth on the pickup. And that's something really, really nice to see. Up into second. I'll stop indicating. There was nothing, nada, no jerkiness at all. Which for me is a big deal. I don't like the jerkiness on throttles on some of these Euro 5 highly tuned bikes where they're trying to really hard to meet the emissions regulations. Try this bend here for a bit of fun. There we go. Oh. We got quite a simple display up front. I mean, that's part of the bike's charm. You do have some useful stuff. You've got the fuel gauge and something over there as well. I don't know what that. Oh, battery. That is a little bit harder to see. The little battery sign, but as long as you then, when you know it the first time, obviously now you just remember that right side is battery, left side is fuel. Got the speed in the middle, which is important, and the mileage on there. There's that trip or odometer. Looks like you can have both on there, and the time, which is currently set at 10 to 11 at night, which obviously is not right. You've got Domino grips here, and interestingly you've got the Domino throttle, which I've seen advertised as an aftermarket part, and it's about 60 or 70 quid. You see there you've got the Domino throttle, which gives you a little bit of smoother throttle action than a sort of bargain basement throttle. That's a nice feature, which I didn't notice until I just saw that. I wouldn't have mentioned it if I hadn't been looking for aftermarket Domino grips. Right, let's talk about pricing. So standard model is 6,999, I think, just under 7,000. You pay a little bit more, I don't know exactly what it is, I'll put it on the screen, for the Deluxe model, which gives you the bar brace. That actually would come with a cover. I've just removed it to put the GoPro on there. The nice grips, the special paint, the special seat, and then you've also got the 50th anniversary in the blue, which looks very retro, very 70s Scrambler. And then the other bike you've got is the Rally Explorer. I think the Explorer is the top of the tree when it comes to the pricing, 7,649 I think, and that has actual physical functional differences as opposed to aesthetics. It's not just a sort of paint job. You've got the increased suspension travel, fenders higher up, you've got a remap, you've got aluminium swing arm that's naked aluminium, which looks really nice. So you've got some nice things with the Explorer, but the Explorer has got those Michelin Anarchy Wilds on there, so you sacrifice a bit of your road performance, road capability, by swapping the bike over to the more off-road variant. I don't know what I'd go for. I do love the look of the Explorer, to tell the truth, and it is, I guess it's the highly spec'd model, you could say. But my sensible side might come over and say, look, if you're going to be doing mostly road riding, which a lot of people are, then the sort of entry level or even the deluxe model would be the one to go for. The Pirelli Scorpion STRs are quite nice on the road, to be honest. They don't look like they would be, but they're pretty good. The downside to this bike, I guess, are probably highway performance. If you were to cruise at 70, you're going to get a bit more vibration, a bit more wind buffeting. But if you're going to buy a Scrambler, that's sort of the price you pay. So we're at £7,000. What do you get for the £7,000? Well, obviously character in spades. Everything is just built really nicely and lovely. You've got billet aluminium everywhere, the colours, the style, the overall proportions of the bike, the spoked wheels on there. Everything is just really, I don't know, it's just come together as a lovely package. You are going to have downsides, but they're more associated with the style of bike. If you use this bike for the wrong purpose, then it's not going to perform too well for you and you're going to feel some of the limitations. But for what I'm doing today, I couldn't think of anything better to do it on. Right, I just finished the ride and I've got to say I've kind of fallen for this little Fantic Caballero. It's an amazing little bike. Not only does it look the part, which we talked about earlier, but it's so engaging and fun to ride. There's a lot of bikes out there which are, you'd say, good bikes. There's not really that many bad bikes that are coming new to production now. But for a bike to be a little bit special, it has to have something about it, and this definitely has it. It's just got that like Italian flair to it. The proportions are just amazing. Riding it, you really feel the lightweight, so you can flick it about. I didn't take it off-road, I make no apology for that. I'm just enjoying riding it on the road. I think if you want something that looks this good, and it's got great road manners, the 40 horsepower is enough to do what you want on the road. I had this up to 60 plus miles an hour and it's perfectly competent. You got enough power in that little 450cc single. So yeah, I mean, it's very hard to beat this proposition for a little entry price point Scrambler. Nothing on the bike actually looks or feels entry level, but the price point is certainly not to be sniffed at. So I guess, yeah, what can you pick holes in it? Okay, if you were to take it out highway cruising, it probably wouldn't be that good at that because of the wind. Probably have some limitations off-road, but for blipping about the countryside, a little bit of fire trails and green laning, it's just going to be great fun. You're not really going to go far wrong with it. So let's look at the competition. We'll ignore the higher priced Scramblers for now, like Triumph and Ducati, but you've got obviously the Mash. Is that a 650? That's a Scrambler, but probably won't be as nice as this in terms of the fit and finish. Royal Enfield are supposedly doing a Scrambler as well, but based on the Interceptor. But I'm a big fan of Royal Enfield, but I think it'd be hard push to beat this package, even though that Scrambler will have a bit more power because it's bigger displacement. Got the BSA Scrambler coming as well, but that's still a prototype. And then of course the other competition to this bike is its soon to be bigger brother, which is the Caballero 700, which is using the Yamaha CP2 unit out of the MT-07, because Fantic and Yamaha have got some agreement going on. So would you go for the 500cc or the 700? Interesting question. I actually think the charm lies in it being a single cylinder and being very lightweight. I think you'd lose a little bit of that if you went up to the 700, but let's see. Let's reserve our judgment until we actually get a 700 to test. But yeah, I really like this little bike. It's hard to fault it, really. Probably could pick at a few things, but to be honest, it wouldn't really affect the ownership experience. It just all comes together in a lovely little package, and it's kind of a bike that you could be proud of. I'd be really happy to own this, and yeah, that's not something I would say lightly either. All right, guys, well, thanks for listening to the video. I hope you enjoyed it. This has been a great bike. It's been a great day out. Yeah, let me know if you've got any comments down below, and if you do like the video, then smash the like button. Helps me out a lot with the algorithm. And I would also like to thank Midwest Moto for the loan of this bike today. They are a really cool destination dealership. Everyone there is super helpful. They're super helpful to me as well, actually. So if you go in there, you'll get treated really well. Lots of nice bikes and heritage brands. And there's also a nice cafe with, they'll do nice food and snacks and coffees up there for you. So it's just a nice place to come. But thanks to them and thanks to you guys for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks a lot.